DCG head Barry Silbert giving his shareholders more details about his company's Genesis Capital lending division that was forced to halt customer withdrawals in the aftermath of FTX's November collapse. In a letter to investors, Silbert saying in part, quote, "This past year has been the most difficult of my life, both personally and professionally. Bad actors and repeated blowups have wreaked havoc on our industry with ripple effects extending far and wide." CoinDesk is owned by DCG. Note to viewers. Joining us now to discuss is Hodder law firm managing partner Sasha Hodder. Sasha, thanks for joining us. So it appears Silbert is distancing DCG as much as he possibly can from Genesis, though them being a parent company, a little difficult. But Gemini's Cameron Winklevoss is saying they are one and the same. So who should we believe here? Maybe you could walk us through some of the accusations being thrown about.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a really interesting day. Everything going down in public here on Twitter. We saw this morning, the first sentence and the letter from Cameron Winklevoss, it accused Barry Silbert of the crime of fraud. It said Gemini and more than 340,000 earn users were defrauded by Genesis and DCG, and accused them of, it basically went into the background, and it was a bit of new information, at least new to me, that there was, so Genesis had borrowed from 3AC, didn't get paid back. It was $2.36 billion and resulted in a $1.2 billion loss. So, the accusation there first is that there was terrible or, poor risk management practices. Why was that loan under collateralized? But then also at the time, DCG made a public statement. The then CEO, Michael Morrow, said that Genesis, that DCG had helped Genesis out with a loan, but it didn't mention that loan was actually a 10-year promissory note, and really what they needed was, a fast influx of cash to keep from imploding, like what happened when FTX went bust. And then also accuses them of accounting fraud. So they characterized that 10-year promissory note as a short-term current asset. And really the generally accepted accounting principles require that a current asset be cash or cash equivalents that can be changed into cash within a 1-year time frame. So if it's true, it does appear that there was a pretty serious misstatement, but we have to look at some other ramifications here, like why can't the Winklevoss twins are worth $7 billion combined, or at least that's what's reported, I believe, on Forbes. So this $900 million hole, it only represents about 12% of their assets. So why don't they make their own users whole and then fight this out in court or arbitration? But it just seems like a big publicity stunt, going on Twitter and fighting all this out when they could just take care of it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you mentioned, Gemini has raised questions about this money movement between Genesis and DCG, calling it lies and accounting fraud. Is that going a bit too far? I know that the DOJ and SEC are also investigating this situation.
Yeah. There were reports that this investigation started even before the blow up has happened, or at least that's what I read. That the DOJ was investigating the digital currency group before this Gemini issue. And if it's true, if this allegation is true that they characterized a 10-year loan as a current asset, that is accounting fraud. Accounting fraud is a criminal offense. It can land someone in jail. It comes with, I think, a maximum penalty of like 10 million. Don't quote me on the penalty, but it's a large financial fine that can be assessed. But everything we've seen from Mr. Silbert over the years does not point to a criminal actor. It's been just the worst type of market this past year with all these companies imploding. And as he said, it's just it's the worst situation. But something needs to be done. There's 340,000, somewhat innocent users. They did assume the risk of entering a program like the Gemini Earn program, but they certainly weren't prepared to be, just lose all their money.
I just want to also clarify that the DOJ and SEC probe is reportedly happening, according to Bloomberg. Just want to clarify that. All right. So meanwhile, Gemini is calling for Silbert to step down as CEO of DCG and officially canceling that Gemini Earn program you talked about. Will that resolve anything?
I don't think it would resolve a whole lot in terms of someone needs to give the money back. Someone needs to come up with $900 million, either Barry Silbert or the Winklevoss twins themselves, to make people whole. And whoever's the CEO, I don't, unless they're going to come give that money, it doesn't make a huge difference. But in terms of public optics, and if everyone has turned against Barry Silbert for taking these kind of very risky loans, or for this, if it is true that there was misstatements on the accounting books at Gemini, then what we've seen from the other CEOs of these companies that have gone bankrupt is they have stepped away, so that the companies can kind of try and restructure and move away from any alleged wrongdoing.
What kind of accountability should Gemini be taking responsible for, and what are some of the possible resolutions in the end?
Well, so Gemini, they made the bad loan. They should probably fill it. They owe the money. They're responsible for it. Sure, they were owed money by 3AC as well, but they need to. I think they should fill this hole, find some money somewhere, borrow it. It does. I think if they could, they probably would have by now. Though I think the market has just everyone's frozen, and no one wants to throw good money after what could be seen. Throwing good money after bad is very risky, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of liquidity out there, or this probably would have been filled already. But then you see people like Cathie Wood, she bought 1.4 million worth of GBTC back in November. So there's still some people with some convection, and then
very bullish of Cathie.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read about it, but hopefully it works out. The GBTC has been trading up lately, and there's maybe the Valkyrie, they've put in a bid to sponsor and manage GBTC. They currently manage 180 million, and GBTC is worth 10.5 billion. So it's, it's kind of a David and Goliath situation, but it seems like something positive is going on for it to be trading up. There's certainly someone out there buying it. So maybe there is some kind of bailout in the works that we just don't know yet and make public.
All right, yeah. Sasha, thank you so much for joining us. That was Hodder Law Firm Managing Partner Sasha Hodder.